Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is JW. This is the RAFON report. Welcome back. For those that aren't too familiar with what we're doing here, RAFON is an acronym I created which stands for the Rise and Fall of Nations. So let's begin. Today's topic, socialism. What is socialism? Today you'd like to hear a lot of flowery definitions, a bunch of utopian socialist dreams. But the textbook definition of socialism is not what we're presented with. Socialism is a political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. That means the government. In Marxist theory, it's a transitional social state between the overthrow of capitalism and the realization of communism. America. Are we a democracy or are we a republic? I ask this question because for I don't know how many decades this goes back, many of our leaders like to tell us that America is a democracy, but it is not. Benjamin Franklin was asked, "What have you given us, sir?" And he responded with, "Or a republic government, ma'am, if you can keep it." Vladimir Lenin said democracy is essential to socialism. And he also said the goal of socialism is communism. Karl Marx, often referred to as the father of communism, socialism, said democracy is the road to socialism. So you shouldn't be confused. Here's the reality. What is a socialist? Well, it's a person that's too stupid to know that they're a communist. The useful idiots that the politicians get to lead around on a dog choker. Winston Churchill famously said, "Socialism is the philosophy of failure, the creed of ignorance, and the gospel of envy. Its inherent virtue is the equal sharing of misery." And might I add, it should say its only inherent virtue. And here we have Miss Alexandria-Ocasio-Cortez, not even in office 100 days, and she already funneled $1 million out of her campaign into a slush fund. This is a woman who promotes socialism. This is a woman who says that being rich is greed. And yet, within that same roughly first 100-day period, Miss Ocasio-Cortez netted a deal with Netflix, $10 million. Why? Isn't being rich being greedy? Reasons why socialism doesn't work, and you can see all of that there on the graph. But the primary reason socialism doesn't work is because most of its benefactors won't work. Four horsemen of the American apocalypse: ignorance, apathy, gullibility, and blindness. Check out this meme. You ever notice that you've never seen people fleeing capitalism to seek a better future in a socialist state? Never, ever, not once. Now, you can think about that and take all the time you need. Here's our wonder star again, Miss Ocasio-Cortez. Somebody created this meme. The end is coming in 12 years because she says the world or mankind is going to die out within 12 years because of global warming. And the couple behind her is she talking about the planet or her political party? There's a big question mark. Kashama Sawant, American socialist, as done by every country that's ever done this. They always have to put their own slant on it. Democrat Socialists of America. Now, this is nothing new in America. It's been tried before. Good old Bernie Sanders. I'm not positive, but I believe Miss Ocasio-Cortez has pretty much been an understudy of his for years. The socialist utopia, as they always promise it will be. But this has never materialized in the history of mankind. Why? Socialism is abject failure from the beginning, but again, it's always presented as flowery, a utopia. Che Guevara, Bernie Sanders again. Democrat socialism, the way life should be. All over the news, all over the media. When you get down to it, it is basically the spreading of the wealth. I'm not really sure about that. Definitely income redistribution. Because you see, at the heart of socialism, what you have is a system that eliminates the middle class. It creates a much wider gap between the haves and the have-not. And that's just the way that it goes. See, and another utopian just lie in this is that we're going to reach a point where everybody is on equal financial standing. But that's not the way that it works. Because once you do have it implemented, one of the things that happens is the uber rich are hunted down like dogs. They're murdered, with their properties being looted, stolen, and people disappear into the middle of the night. Socialism will work this time because the professor at my private liberal arts university said so. Socialism is like a mousetrap. It works because the mouse doesn't understand why the cheese is free. The resistance rising socialist strategy in the age of political revolutions. A gentleman who lived not too long ago and tried to point out to people that America is being destroyed by socialism. Margaret Thatcher. The problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. And that's just a cold, hard fact of it. Thomas Sowell, economist. I have never understood why it is greed to want to keep the money that you've earned, but it's not greed to want to take somebody else's money away from them. There is nothing that can produce the actual socialist utopia that people refer to in their dreams and imaginations. So you see, it doesn't matter how far back in time we go, or to what countries we go to, or whether we're referring to the socialist models of those from the past being Robert Owen, Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, Vladimir Lenin, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong, Mikhail Gorbachev, Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, George Orwell, Albert Einstein, Bertrand Russell, Leon Trotsky or Tony Benn, or even the modern-day socialist advocates such as Jeremy Corbyn, Bernie Sanders, or Alexandria-Ocasio-Cortez. Socialism simply never works. It is destined to fail from the beginning, because once you are supposedly getting at this point, we're supposed to believe and entrust that the leaders at that time are going to equally distribute things. But this is a fallacy from the beginning, because what happens, just like any other system, the leaders funnel the best, the brightest, whatever it's food or whatever it is, they hoard the greatest abundance to themselves. The peasants get the scraps. Look at any country that has ever tried this. Any country at any time in the world's history. I don't care if you're looking through Russia. I don't care if you're looking through China. I don't care if you're looking through Cuba or what they're promising today. Socialism is a failure every single time. And it is a failure every single time because what most socialists don't realize is many of them want to present this as a form of government. Well, socialism is an economic system in opposition to capitalism. And yet, for all of the modern day pundits that we have that cry they want socialism and they demonize capitalism, you do realize that the majority of them live in a house that was built through capitalism, drive a car that was built through capitalism, and if they happen to be employed, which most of them aren't, they're working in a place of employment that came through the efforts of the capitalist that risked their own money, their own time, their own futures so that other people could also benefit. Socialism, again, it just can't work. So just stop listening to these advocates. Most of them you're going to find, they're absolute idiots anyhow to begin with. They don't know what they're doing. Most of them are doing what they're told. They go where they're directed to go. They say what they're told to say. But you can't pin them down, because when you start with the questioning, what you wind up getting back 99.999% of the time are what I refer to as dead arguments. Dead as an acronym. That means distraction, evasion, avoidance, and deflection, because they're ignorant. They don't know. And as I've shared on previous programs, liberals today, they're having a massive identity crisis because they're chasing so many special interests. They don't really know how to focus and how to center on something. So again, this is just one of my latest rants here, and I need people to realize that this whole system is just never going to work, and that's just a fact of life. So again, this is JW. This is the RAFON Report. This is YouTube program number 4, and we do appreciate you stopping by. And if you do like what you're hearing, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell. Don't forget to stop by the website, www.rafonreport. And again, you'll find us here on YouTube. You can find us on Patreon, and you can also find us on Facebook. This is JW. God bless.